A Des Moines, Iowa man is in jail after allegedly stealing his neighbour's 6-year-old son over the weekend. The incident occurred at around 8:53 p.m. on the 16th of October, when 21-year-old Den Kodok was said to have taken the child from his neighbour's home without their permission. He then took the boy, who was reportedly wearing minimal clothing at the time, to the Jordan Creek Mall in West Des Moines. While Den was at the mall with the boy, it was reported that he was uncooperative with mall staff. He reeked of alcohol and had bloodshot and watery eyes. He was arrested that night and was taken into custody at the Polk County Jail on a $10,000 bond. He was charged with child stealing, intoxication, and interference with official acts. Charlotte, North Carolina man, 35-year-old Charles Combs, is in custody and has been charged with the murder of his ex-girlfriend, 30-year-old Gastonia woman, LaPortia Baldwin, after a dump body was found in South Carolina. Family members last saw LaPortia in the parking lot of a church at around 2 p.m. on the 10th of October. She left for work at Amazon in Huntersville, North Carolina, and kissed her 18-month-old daughter goodbye. On the way to work, LaPortia planned to meet with Charles to pick up some of her belongings. Her work reported that she never arrived that day. Family members grew concerned when they hadn't heard from her, so they reported her missing, and an investigation into her disappearance began. On the night of the 11th of October, her abandoned car was spotted southbound on the Interstate 85 near the Sam Wilson Road exit in Charlotte. Her tyres were slashed, and blood was found on the steering wheel, dashboard and cup holder. Detectives also found women's clothing and duct tape inside as well. Police also found LaPortia's phone and discovered that after she left the church, she had a conversation with Charles, who was a suspect in her disappearance. Detectives tried getting in touch with Charles, but they were unsuccessful in locating him at the time. On the 14th of October, the authorities located LaPortia's lifeless body in Fairfield County, South Carolina. Charles was found and arrested in Myrtle Beach on the 16th of October, and is charged with LaPortia's murder. He's been extradited from Horry County, South Carolina, to Mecklenburg County in North Carolina, where he's been held without bond. LaPortia broke up with Charles about 3 weeks prior to being killed. On the day she vanished, Charles was reportedly distraught and told a friend about her and said he'll kill himself if he could not be with her. Charles has previously been convicted of murder in the 2004 killing of another ex-girlfriend, Marshida Dorsey Khan, prior to meeting LaPortia. He told Marshida that the only way out of this relationship was through death. He said, "If you try to leave me, I will kill you." He shot her 5 times for trying to leave the abusive relationship. In that case, Charles served 12 years in prison before his release in 2016. In another separate incident in 2020, Charles was arrested and released for driving without a license. 41-year-old Joseph Filazzo of Northfield, New Hampshire, has been arrested and charged with murdering and dismembering his wife, 22-year-old Emily Filazzo, while they celebrated their first wedding anniversary in Vermont. After his arrest on the 19th of October, Joe told police that he and his wife arrived at an Airbnb property between 7 and 8 p.m. on Friday the 15th of October. Joe also said his sister had rented a room and was also staying at the property with her boyfriend. He said that early Saturday morning, he and his wife got into an argument inside the camper that became physical. He said that Emily started hitting and kicking him, especially in the groin. The fight ended when Emily decided to lay down on the bed in the camper. Joe waited between 5 to 10 minutes and then went to a cabinet and retrieved a handgun. He then jumped on top of her and shot her twice in the head. He told investigators that he began to have an anxiety attack, so he placed a garbage bag over her head and moved her body to the bathroom of the camper. Hours later, he went with his sister and her boyfriend down the road to get breakfast. After breakfast, Joe took the camper from Bolton to a friend's home in Meadowbrook Lane in St. Albans. About 12 to 15 hours after the shooting, he grabbed a handsaw and proceeded to dismember his wife, cutting her feet, legs, arms and head from her body and putting each body part into a separate garbage bag. He then kept the bags in the camper. At around 6 p.m. on the 18th of October, Emily's parents reported their daughter missing after Joe told them she had taken an Uber back home but never arrived. Just after midnight on the 19th of October, the police received a tip that Joe murdered Emily. Police looked for Joe and found him at a Maplefield store in St Albans that same day. He was taken to the local police station for questioning, where he allegedly confessed to investigators that he killed his wife and dismembered her body. When police searched the camper, they found 8 plastic bags containing human remains. They also located a weapon they believe was used to kill Emily and the saw to dismember her. An autopsy was completed on the 20th of October, where it was determined that Emily died from gunshot wounds to the head, and the manner of death was determined to be a homicide. The authorities said there's been a history of domestic violence within the relationship, where Emily's been seen with scratches and bruises. Joe's been held at a state prison in St Albans without bail. During a court hearing on the 20th of October, he pleaded not guilty. The authorities are now looking at Joe for any possible connection to his mother's stabbing death in October of 2009, which remains an open investigation.